Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Roberts. You're here on the Hump Day edition of the Yard. Hope you're well today. Hope you're having a good week. Bulldogs having a pretty good stretch here. How about that? Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. We absolutely do. We're going to get into some portal stuff a little bit later. We'll talk about how that impacts Mississippi State football and men's or women's basketball. Got some baseball stuff to cover. Of course, I was in Memphis last night. If the Bulldogs are playing, I'm just about always there, with the rare exception. Had to miss a few games this year, which I hate. I didn't miss the ball game last night in Memphis. So let me say this before we get too deep in the weeds here. The game needs to be played at AutoZone. It truly does. Because of the fact there is such interest and we have such a large alumni and fan base in the greater Memphis area, you need to be able to accommodate everybody. There were fans turned away at the gate last night. They only have 550 grandstand seats, and they cut tickets off, even though there was plenty of standing room only. I don't know the fire drill. I don't know what the fire marshal's telling them they got to do there. But, a lot of Bulldog fans showed up expecting and hoping to get tickets and couldn't get tickets. I was there. Even had some sit outside and watch from the parking lot. Shouldn't be that way. We're not above that sort of thing. I mean, we'll back our pickup trucks out there and put lawn chairs in the back like the old days of the left field lounge. But all that I understood, I get that Memphis wants to have a real home field advantage. I understand that. But when you cannot accommodate the crowds, then you got to do something different. So for those of you that made the trip to Memphis, or maybe you live in Memphis and you couldn't get access yesterday, my heart goes out to you. You missed a pretty good ball game, but your Bulldogs won. We're going to break that down. But, again, my feelings, and they have been well-versed over the years. And when John Cohen was on the Division I baseball committee, I told him, I said, John, you've got to stop rewarding these G5 teams with hosting regional opportunities if they cannot accommodate the crowds necessary. And you guys are well aware of that. We went down to Southern Miss, and Southern Miss played God with the tickets and that sort of stuff and tried to keep all of our fans out, even though we had a right to be there. And, of course, ball don't lie. We win the regional down there. Went down to UL Lafayette back in 2014, similar situation. If you cannot accommodate the crowds, you don't get to host. It's as simple as that. I think what needs to happen, let's say for an example, that Southern Miss wins the right to host a regional. They should play those games in Pearl or Biloxi. That's my feeling. It's like, hey, you've earned the right to host. You'll be the 1 seed. However, this is also a business. Let's not forget that. It's always a business. The NCAA funds these tournaments to make money. So we're going to host this in Pearl. Oh, you don't like that? Okay, then we're going to let somebody else host. Those should be the rules. And I think when you're a G5 program, I get it. You want the fact that, you got an SEC team coming to your backyard. I understand that. I do. And so regular season's probably a little bit different. But I would never agree to a contract that limits my fans' ability to attend a ball game. You don't have any control over what the NCAA does, but you do here. And so we played Memphis a home and home this year. And as Lamona said last night, they're talking about doing some things kind of moving forward. And I'm not opposed to that because we have a great recruiting base and a great fan base in that neck of the woods. But our fans have to be taken care of. Absolutely have to be taken care of. I would say you take care of the players, your program, then you got to take care of your fans. You got to do what's best for the program, best for our players. But when it comes to the shareholders of Mississippi State baseball, they have to be accommodated. And I know we go over and play at Sanford and that sort of stuff too. I get that aspect of it. I don't remember Sanford, quote, selling out though. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. Maybe I'm wrong. I know that I'm not. But my disclaimer is that everybody's got to do what's best for themselves. We wouldn't want a bunch of fans coming over taking over our stadium. We've had that happen at Davis Wade. The Georgia game a couple years ago was an absolute embarrassment. And so for those of you that sold your tickets, Georgia fans, shame on you. But Steve, they're my tickets. Yeah, it's our program. Think about the people around you. We're all in this thing together. But, I think that game should have been played at AutoZone. Just my take. We played in Pearl. We played in Biloxi. We're going to play in Pearl again. So it's not like it couldn't have been done. We played at AutoZone before. It's just a better arrangement for everybody. And you can't tell me that you don't benefit financially from that. Just my take. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. I want to have Bulldog Burger Company for supper. How about that? Maybe you should too. Maybe right now you're debating, what can we have for dinner? Mom's thinking, well, I could make chicken. You know what you could do is take a night off and go to Bulldog Burger Company or get Bulldog Burger Company to go. They do such a good job of packaging up the to-go orders. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. And they got to be experts during the COVID crisis we had. But, sometimes I just want to grab something quick and get home and eat it. And you get home and like the entire plate is like jumbled around. It's like fruit basket turnover, right? You don't get that at Bulldog Burger Company. They do such a great job with that. So if you're thinking about getting something to go, do an online order, they can take care of that too. And the food gets home with some integrity. That's a great thing. So we'll be getting food to go tonight. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to get. Do I get the Freshman 15? Do I get the Bryant, the Lauren? Do I get the Smokehouse? Those are decisions I have to make with my day-to-day. And I love when life is that simple, when that's the biggest crisis in my life is what I'm going to eat for dinner, right? That's great. Take the guesswork out of the whole thing. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowood area. Get the spring rolls as your appetizer. We will. It is part of our beauty care regimen. Probably get that chocolate shake too. I got to put that on the order today too. I want that chocolate shake. I'll go put it in the fridge, and when I'm done eating, I'll go grab it, and I'll enjoy that little palate cleanser. Absolutely love it. Great portions, great food, great prices, great atmosphere, great service. Just a great company to do business with and a great company to break bread with. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. All right. Let's break down this ball game if we can. I have confidence that we can. Good night, though. I'll tell you, they have done some renovation there at the place, and even though it is a much, much smaller venue than we're accustomed to, you can tell that they're making a bigger commitment to baseball there at Memphis. That's a good thing, too. All right, top of first. It's so weird, to do road games. I mean, I love going. I do. I love covering the Bulldogs on the road. A lot of times I'm the only guy there on the Mississippi State beat, and I love that, too. I don't want anybody else to get any other ideas. But yeah, last night I was the lone wolf. But top of first, Amani Larry walks, and Amani's not swinging it exceptionally well. He had a couple of good swings over the weekend, but a lot of people have said, "Hey, Steve, do we need to keep him in leadoff?" Well, in this situation here, he does his job. He gets the base on balls, and then Dave Mershon singles to the right side. A really good job of hitting there, an 0-2 count too. And he takes that ball the other way. And then DJ singles to the left side. What I love about this is how aggressive we were on the base pass early. Guys, we've got some guys top of this order that can run a little bit. And so we called the double steal, but in fact, it is a hit and run. And DJ does a great job hitting the bouncer right at third. We were going to steal those bases anyway. But because of the fact Baskin, the third baseman, has to break for third to cover, then he just can't recover in time to make the play. It bounces into the outfield. The run scores. It's 1-0. Heinzen strikes out looking, and to be honest with you, I thought the ball was up. It was a breaking ball from the left-hander. The ball was up. Hunter didn't complain about it. I'm complaining about it now. And you could say, Steve, maybe it's too close to take on 2 strikes. Well, maybe that's true. But that understood, that ball was up. Heisakton singles to left field. Stay hot, kid. RBI as Mershon scores, makes it 2-0. And then Chance grounds into a double play, and that was really an issue for us early in this ball game. We kept getting inning-ending double plays. Now, on defense, we did some as well, so it kind of works out to be, I guess in many respects, kind of a moot point. But we'd like to be able to hit baseballs a little more authority. They did a good job kind of getting under barrels last night, and this is one of them as Bryce Chance grounds into the back to the pitcher. And then it's a 1-6-3. But 2-0, and how many times in midweek games have we gotten down and had to chase the game? Tonight you come out, you're aggressive on the base pass, you put some balls in play, and you get the early lead. That's so important on the road. All right, bottom of 1, Pico really good this inning. Marcy, who to be honest with you, I thought the shortstop from Memphis, Marcy, I thought he was really good. Not just defensively, but I thought he had a really good approach at the plate. He grounds out the short here, and then Curtis flies out the center, and Baskin strikes out swinging on a lengthy at bat there. We get up in that count 1-2, and then work it full, and then get the K swinging. But Pico pretty good there in the first. All right, top of second, similar situation as the first. All right, so Kohler strikes out looking. He has had a tough 2 games against Memphis at the plate. And no defensive lapses last night as he did that first game, but has not hit the ball well against Memphis. Probably trying to do a little bit too much against his guys. And then Ethan Pulliam, singles to the left side, had the first interview with Ethan Pulliam in postgame last night. If you're interested in seeing that, you can see it in its entirety over at genespage.com. Again, the only media entity there on the Mississippi State beat. So if you want to hear a very polished and intelligent and articulate young man speak about what the last week or so has been for him, you can find that over at Gene's page. I also wrote a column about it too. That video is attached. It's a free column for everybody, whether you're a Gene's page subscriber or not. You certainly should be. But if you're not, you can view that. We do most of our team content for free. All right, so you get the runner on, and then very first pitch, it's a 6-4-3 double play. So back-to-back innings, the Bulldogs have men on, and we can't get a hit to kind of extend the inning there. All right, bottom of second, Pico kind of loses a little bit here. Wind's blowing out, pretty stiff here to dead center field. Stewart singles to the left side, and then Seals triples off the wall in right center. Off the bat, I thought he was gone. Hyzak plays it pretty well. The run scores. And again, this is a full count too. And left the ball up and got hammered. And then Compton, who's their best offensive player, doubles to left field, chased the other run home. Now we're tied. And then Compton takes third. So all of a sudden it's like, goodness. And here's the deal with Pico. So you've given up back-to-back-to-back base hits, and then you throw a wild pitch to push the runner to third. Now he could have folded right here. He absolutely could have. But he didn't. He gets, we walk Dubose. And then you get Cox to strike out looking. And that, what do you need? With that runner at third or runner in scoring position, you got to get a non-productive out. We get one there. And then we get the old-fashioned strike him out, throw him out. They're trying to steal a run here. And I really felt like Compton probably should have been on the horse a little quicker. Like the runner goes. I didn't think he got the good enough jump. And he kind of nonchalanted it, getting in the home plate. And what do you know? Joe Powell throws him out at second. Throws out the runner Dubose going to second. So it's a strike him out, throw him out, double play. You don't see that very often these days. You see a lot in Major League Baseball. But really good effort there by the Bulldog defense to preserve the game at 2-2 and not give up another run. And again, it's kind of that USSSA play. It really is. All right, top of third. Amani walks again. So again, we're not getting hits, but back-to-back good at-bats here. So the on-base percentage continues to rise a little bit. And then Mershon singles to first base. Larry takes second. So you're setting the table for the middle of the order. And then DJ hits an absolute Ruthian blast to left. The only question was it going to be fair or foul? I thought off the bat it was foul. I was a little surprised when I saw the umpire signal home run. And DJ said the same thing too. He wasn't exactly sure. He said that's why he stood there. He wasn't trying to showboat or dog it or anything. Just kind of make sure that ball was fair. And it was. It sneaks inside the fair pole there for a 3-run home run. Now it's a 5-2 ball game, and you can kind of start to chill a little bit. Hunter Hines has been hit by the pitch, and it wasn't anything malicious. The breaking ball just kind of got away from him there. So now, again, you've got 3 runs home, and there's nobody out in the inning. Let's try to find a way to get this run around. Well, lo and behold, we get the wild pitch, so now all of a sudden he goes to second. So you've got a runner in scoring position with nobody out. And give Jackson Lyons some credit. He gets a ground out from Hyzak. Runner has to hold. Chance then grounds out to third. Runner takes third. And then Kohler strikes out swinging. And Kohler had a good weekend, too. It's like sometimes we're prisoners of the moment. I saw some comments. People said, man, this kid's really struggling. Do we not forget the weekend he had against Auburn? Not to mention the big hit on the Game 3 against Auburn. It tied the ball game. But, you'd like to be able to tack on here. Yes, you get the 3 runs, but when you've got a runner in scoring position and nobody down, you've got to find a way to get that run home. We weren't able to do that. All right, bottom of 3, Evan Sierra comes in and gives up a single, again, to Marcy. I like this kid. And then he takes second and give Evan some credit here. Again, it's a similar situation. They got a runner at second base, nobody out too. Lengthy at bat with Curtis. We get down 3-0 in this count and work it back and get a K swinging. The ball was a little bit up, but a little rise to that fastball from Sierra. So again, the non-productive out. Then you get a little, duck snort of sort out to left field. Wasn't deep enough to advance a runner. And then Stewart flies out to right. And so you get through this, you feel like, okay, all right, Evan did his job. All right, top of 4. No traffic on the bases for your Bulldogs. Pulliam flies out to center field, and he nearly poked that one out of the yard. Like a lot of times you guys look up and say, well, he's just kind of a punch and Judy guy. He's just a pull hitter, and he's just hitting singles. That ball nearly left the yard. That ball's caught at the wall. And maybe 5 minutes before that, the wind carries that thing out. But he struck that ball really, really well. And that's something, too, now that'll be in the scouting report and the spray charts. And all of a sudden, well, wait a minute now. Got to pay closer attention to this kid. And I asked him in postgame, too. It's interesting. He's hit enough the last week that now all of a sudden there is a scouting report for Ethan Pulliam. You're not playing him straight up anymore. They're shading the second baseman to the shortstop side of the bag, putting 3 infielders to the left side. That proved to be significant later in this ballgame. Joe Powell on the second pitch grounds out to short, and then Larry grounds out to third baseman. But again, a 3-1 count here for Larry. So 3 at-bats that have extensive counts for Amani Larry. Bottom of 4, Seals lines out to center field. Compton singles to right field. Dubos walks. All of a sudden, we're in some trouble. We bring in Colby Holcomb, and that's been a very, very, very up and down situation. Our relationship with Colby this year has been very tenuous. But what does he do? The very first pitch, he comes in and rolls up the ground ball. It's a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning. So again, Holcomb inherits 2 runners, and he gets 1 pitch and gets out of it and preserves the lead at 5-3. All right, top of 5, Mershon, again, a great chance for us to tack on here. Mershon doubles down the line and left. You love those leadoff doubles, right? And then he takes third on a pass ball. So now you've got a runner at third and nobody out. Just give me a routine fly ball to right field. Guys, it's a 6-2 ball game. But we were unable to do that. DJ hits a shot back to the pitcher. Mershon has to hold. They get DJ. Then they bring in Chorchaleski in place of Lyons, the left-hander. He ends up walking Hunter Hines. So now you got runners on the corners. And then Hyzak, who has been clutch for us, not clutch in this situation. Hyzak grounds into the 6-4-3 double play. So we waste that leadoff double and get nothing out of it. If we're going to be an elite team, you got to do a job right here and get this run home. It's bad enough just to get yourself out, but to get somebody else out too, that's just not a productive at-bat. Needed a better situational hitting job there. All right, bottom of 5, we open up and walk Fernandez on 4 pitches. And it's always tough when you walk the 9-hole hitter. You're just flirting with disaster. And then Marcy, again, I don't know what this kid's eligibility situation looks like, but if he gets in the portal, we need to inquire. He singles to right field. Fernandez goes to third. And then Curtis singles to the left side and chases to run home. Now it's a 5-3 ball game. We bring in Cam Schulke, and they didn't know it yet, but the game was over. Schulke comes in and gets Baskin swinging, gets Curtis. Kind of a crazy thing here. So it's kind of the U-trip play, right? And so we throw down and we get the caught stealing, and they take home. And so, hey, Reiser did a good job there, the coach, kind of chalking that up. But, Powell threw out a couple runners last night. And then Stewart strikes out swinging. But you look up, and it's been a productive inning for Memphis as they get 2 runs in the inning. And again, the 2 runs, Cam comes in a bases-loaded situation. You give up 2 runs. You're just trying to kind of swim right there. Just trying to find a way to get back to shore. We did a pretty good job of that. Top of 6. Bryce Chance flies out to center, then Kohler grounds out to second. He gets ahead in that count 3-0. And here's what I'm seeing a lot of, not just with Mississippi State, but in college baseball. Pitch selection on 3-1 counts has not been good for a lot of people. Because you get ahead 3-0, and guys are trained hitters, right? Sometimes you got to let them walk you, sometimes. So you get a 3-0 count, and I saw a couple guys last night swing on 3-0. So the get me over strike is not always a BP fastball, but typically it's going to be a fastball. But people are trained to take it. So now it's a 3-1 count. Well, he's got to give you the same pitch on 3-1 as he does on 3-2, more times than not. And so what happens is because people have a 2-ball advantage here, they're kind of untying their shoes here, making some selfish swings. And so Kohler fouls that ball back and then fouls it back and then grounds out. And this is not an indictment on Logan Kohler. I'm just seeing some guys be very, 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 very aggressive on 3-1 counts and maybe not being as selective as they should be. We got a lot of guys, not just at Mississippi State, but around college baseball, that are swinging at pitchers' pitches on 3-1. If it's not there, just take the walk, because next thing you know, you're in a 3-2 count and it becomes a bit of a guessing game. Pulliam then walks, and then Powell walks. So now you got a little bit of a 2-out rally here thanks to some control issues, and then Amani strikes out on 3 pitches. He had 3 good at-bats before this. This was a tough one. And swung over a couple breaking balls. I think the book is kind of out on Amani too. That breaking ball in the inner half, if you're able to bury it, chances are he's going to swing over the top of it. Bottom of 6, Steele strikes out looking, Compton strikes out swinging, and Dubose grounds out the first unassisted. So pretty efficient inning there. Compton did kind of work that at bat, a little bit elongated there, but Cam wins the war there and posts a 1-2-3 inning. Top of 7. Marshawn pops up to the shortstop, and then Jordan strikes out swinging, and then Hines walks on 4 pitches. And Hyzak lines out to right. I believe Connor Hyzak hit every inning, or every at-bat he hit with runners on, and just didn't come through last night. It's going to be like that. It came through for us on Sunday. Not being indictful of the kid. That's sometimes how baseball works. All right, bottom of 7. Cox grounds out to third base. Fernandez strikes out swinging, and then Marcy strikes out swinging. We get him down in an 0-2 count. And I thought Cam did a really good job changing speeds last night. And of course, a guy with his limited velocity, and I'm not being critical here. I mean, he's a guy that can, get it up there sometimes in the high 80s. But when you've got a guy like him that can hit his spots and use his arm slots and then change speeds, it makes him a bit of an alien. We all know this. But that changeup that Marcy swung through, he was so far ahead of it, he probably could have swung twice. All right, top of 8. They bring in Malik Harris, a guy that started against us earlier this year, and then he immediately gives up the double to center field. And again, the leadoff double, especially late in ball games, you got to find a way to get this run home. Well, Kohler does a job here. He grounds out the short. We'd prefer that ground ball to the right side, but nevertheless, we're able to advance a runner here, so it is a productive out. And so then they come up, Ethan Pulliam, the freshman. They're thinking, you know what, we're going to draw the infield in, and we're going to shade the second baseman to the shortstop side of the bag, and we're going to cut this run down because this guy is a dead pull hitter. And what does he do? With just one infielder on the right side, he hits a little bit of a kind of a biting ground ball. I mean, he kind of cued it a little bit, but it's able to get through the first baseman. The run scores, which is the most important part of it. And then he runs and gets the double, and they call him out. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. We all make mistakes, and I tweeted this out last night. We are all entitled to some mistakes. This was not a mistake. This was just egregious incompetence. At no point during that play was Ethan Pulliam out. You could see it in live action. We have to review it, which is really a disservice to all of us. Life is short, death is certain. And we had to waste a long time waiting for them to reverse this call. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that being an umpire is a thankless job, and I appreciate the good umpires we have around the game. But there's a lot of people involved in this review process that are trying to help umpires. Now you can say, Steve, no, I'm just telling you. I'm not guessing. I'm not offering an opinion. There's a lot of guys out there. It's like, hey, we want to validate the call because you don't want to have, at the end of the year, have all these numbers where all these calls are overturned. And so they're going to give the umpires the benefit of the doubt. Guys, there was no benefit to give here. He absolutely blows the call. They review it. They get it right. Great. All right, so that's good. But it's a shame we even had to have that reviewed. They like to make pitching change there, bring in Braylon Sanders. He gets Powell to strike out looking. Lengthy at bat there, but probably took one we shouldn't have. Then Amani Larry walks again. In the middle of all this, Pulliam still third. Close play there, and then Larry still second. But again, Amani Larry reaches base 3 times last night. That's the role of the leadoff hitter. Take a bunch of pitches, get on base. Sure, we'd love to base hit, but when you start looking at on-base percentages, Monty Larry's hanging in there. And against some quality at-bats last night. He gets it down 0-2 in this count and ends up getting the base on balls. Really good effort there. Then, again, Marshawn flies out to center field on a 2-0 count. And to be honest with you, I think we try to do a little too much here. Just slap this ball the other way and we get a couple runs home. But it's now a 6-4 ball game, bottom of 8. Curtis singles to right center. and then still second. So they all of a sudden, hey, they got the runner in scoring position with nobody out. You need a non-productive out. We get it to pop up on the infielder, and there's usually a ton of non-productive outs with Schuelke because of the fact there's a lot of soft contact associated with him. All right, Memphis first base coach Manella was ejected here, and I'm sitting there getting ready to watch Cam, and then next thing you know, there is some drama over there. I was told afterwards that he said something. Don't know what he said, but the first base umpire had been listening to some chirping throughout the ball game, and apparently he had listened to enough. And so the heave-ho there. Then order is restored, and then Stewart hits a ground ball. It ends up being a fielder's choice. This is the one where it goes back to Cam, and Cam does what great pitchers do, because pitchers are athletes, right? How many times do you see a pitcher field it and the runner looks like he's hung up and he throws it away, but instead Cam runs at him, makes him make a decision, and then throws the baseball? So that's a lesson for you kids out there, those of you listening. You run at the runner, make him commit, because you still got to make a couple throws. We handled this run down pretty well here. So we get him out, and then Sills strikes out swinging. Really, really, really big strikeout right there, and it really felt like the game was over right there. I felt like once we got out of that deal, we get that lead runner, get into a two-out situation. Unless Sills hits one out of the ballpark, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. All right, top of 9. State goes quietly here. Very efficient inning for them. DJ strikes out swinging on 3 pitches. Hines pops up to the second baseman on the very first pitch, and Hyzak grounds out the shortstop on a 1-1 count. So you just got to go get 3 outs. Tyler Davis comes in, and he was absolutely filthy. That version of Tyler Davis will win us a lot of baseball games. Just got to get that little more consistency. Compton strikes out swinging. Dupo strikes out swinging. And then Cox pops up outside of first, and Hines runs it down in foul territory to put the game away. So State wins 6-4. Looking back at the numbers here, Amani Larry 0 for 2 on the night, but 3 walks and scores 2 runs. The one big strikeout when a situation we had a chance to tack on there. But, I know the batting average didn't increase last night, but when my leadoff hitter is walking 3 times in a ball game, I got to feel like he's getting the job done. And again, he did have a couple swings over the weekend, so maybe he's starting to see it a little bit better, and we need that to be the case. I mean, he is a designated hitter for a reason, and that's to be in there and hit. Marshawn goes 3 for 5 on the night, scores 2 runs himself. Dakota Jordan, the top run producer in the ball game, with 4 RBIs and a 2 for 5 performance. Of course, the 3-run home run, and then had the big hit in that first inning, the big bouncer on the double steal play, nets the first run of the ball game. Hunter Hines goes 0 for 2, also had a couple of walks. Connor Hyzak 1 for 5, and Connor came up in some big situations too. 1 for 4 for Bryce Chance, he scores a run. Logan Kohler 0 for 4. Again, probably best that he never plays Memphis again. Ethan Pulliam, 2 of State's 9 hits, also had an RBI, of course, on the ball he takes the other way, and then walks. So he reaches bases 3 times. That's a pretty good number, considering where this kid started. Joe Powell, 0 for 3, played really well defensively. Did have 1 walk. Look at pitching numbers here for the Bulldogs. Pico Con, not nearly as sharp as he was last week. He goes 2 innings, allows 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 Ks, 1 walk. We got to get him going because he's got to be a big piece for us. Evan Sierra, 1 1/3 innings pitch, allows 2 hits and also a walk. The strikeout, probably a little too much traffic on the bases. Colby Holcomb, we just didn't get the best version of him. We got a good first pitch from him, and then he just goes 2/3 of an inning, allows 2 hits, 2 runs, and he's pulled mid-count. Also has a walk, no punch-outs. Schuelke gets the win, ups his record to 2-2. He goes 4 innings of relief, and yes, he can still pitch on the weekend. Calm down. Gives up 1 hit, strikes out 7, doesn't walk anybody. That is really, really good work right there from Kim Schuelke. And Tyler Davis just throws 10 pitches, so yes, he can pitch on the weekend too. 1 inning pitch, 2 punch-outs, and of course that foul out. So nobody put a ball in fair territory against him. Bulldogs with 9 hits in the ball game, 6 runs, of course. All 6 were earned. 7 walks, struck out 7. You'll take that ratio. Also had the hit by pitch in the ball game too with Hunter Hines. But State didn't have to pitch a ton of guys for the weekend, which is always good. And I know that some people were worried about that. And they're like, hey, we lost the Florida series because of how we pitched against Samford. I agree with that. I think this is a much different scenario. Tower Davis, again, just 10 pitches. You didn't wear out Tower Davis. You didn't wear out Brooks Auger. And Kem Schulke is the rubber band man. I never worry about him. But real quickly here, I want to look at some numbers season-wise, just for on a couple players. I think it's important because sometimes it's important to take things in a proper context. It's so easy to, again, be a prisoner of the moment. You know, a guy strikes out in a big situation. I don't know if you guys know this. Dakota Jordan's currently leading the team with a .379 batting average. The guy hit the 3-hole. And you expect, hey, we need our stars to be stars, right? And he's still leaving some meat on the bone. But 16 dingers, 55 RBI. But let's look at Ethan Pulliam. Young Ethan Pulliam has appeared in 10 games. He's had 17 at-bats. He's got 7 hits. And all of those have come in the last 5 games. He's played in 5 games. He started 5 games, We've won all 5 of them. He is hitting .412. And that dog will hunt. Now, Amani Larry's batting average has dipped down to .242. However, his on-base percentage is still right there around .400. It's dropped from where it was. But he's coming along. We got to get him going, though. We need some bigger hits. And, of course, we had that big double on Sunday, a chance for us to put the ball game away, and the guys behind him just couldn't get it done. But, stolen bases for him have been pretty good, too. 7 of 9 on the year. And as a team, we're 51 or 58. I don't know if you guys realize that. But, we got to do a better job at times holding the running game with pitchers. I thought we struggled a little bit with that last night. But Joe bailed us out on a couple things. But, it's just important to understand, do we need to make some changes? I don't know. I really don't. And what I mean by that is you have to think about the entire composition of a lineup and not just one player. And, again, Dave Marchand, I think that in many respects got a little Jag Mangum in him. He just kind of finds a way to get on. But we hit him lead off one game this year, and it was not a good one. I like him in the 2-hole, especially when Amani's able to get on with a hit by pitch or a walk or a single or whatever. You get Amani on, Marchand's a guy that can get him around and give you guys in the meat of your order a chance to hit with a runner in scoring position. So I get it, but I also understand, too, that there's been some games where Amani just really hasn't contributed. But he'll tag you the same. He absolutely will. Real quickly, kind of looking around the league here from last night, before we get into today's top 10 list, which is great. Let's take a quick look at the scores from around the Southeastern Conference. Everybody in the League won. That's important to understand. But some games that were interesting, for sure. Ole Miss beats North Alabama 9-4, which doesn't make me feel any better about losing that series to those guys. North Alabama, obviously a team that you don't expect those guys to go in there and compete at the level that they did. But you look up in this thing, it's like, Ole Miss puts up 5 runs in the third and just kind of cruise for a while, and then they put up 3 more in the fourth. So it's an 8-1 ball game in the fourth, and then the rest of the way, North Alabama outscored Ole Miss, and they actually out-hit Ole Miss 8-7 last night. So, but anyway, they win, and that's all you got to do. Auburn 11-1 winners over Florida A&M. Tennessee, 12-4 winners over Western Kentucky. Florida, 13-3 winners over Stetson. It seems like they play Stetson once a week. Missouri, 10-6 winners over Missouri State. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State's opponent this weekend. Tight ball game last night with the Skyhawks of Tennessee. Mark, did you keep up with this at all? I didn't. I was covering a ball game. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit here. I'm still curious to know, and I've asked some people yesterday at Mississippi State, have you heard anything about the availability of Vandy pitcher? Nobody seems to know anything. So we'll see what happens. But we'll be monitoring that. Of course, I'll be in Nashville on Friday and see what we can find out for you guys. I think that's an important aspect of all this. That's the reason we go, is to be your eyes and ears and not just go get a free hot dog. That's not why I go. But real quickly here, looking at numbers here, and it's it's pretty interesting when you look at the home stats here. Vanderbilt had 8 hits in the ballgame against Tennessee Martin pitching. And Polk, the center fielder with 3, leads the team. But you have 4 RBI in the ball game, but it's like you start looking at this thing, you score 5 runs, but it's just it was far from an offensive explosion. In fact, Tennessee Martin gets up 1-0 in this ball game. Vandy ties it in the bottom of the second, takes the lead in the third. They add to the lead in the fourth, and all of a sudden it's a 4-1 ball game. And then Tennessee Martin scores 2 in the seventh, and then 1 in the eighth to tie the game. That's right. You go the full 9, and then you have to walk it off. That's exactly what happened. Diaz, with 2 outs in the ninth, hits a home run to left center to walk it off. And so Vandy very much in a tussle last night. I don't know what impact that has on the weekend. I'm just kind of pointing out those guys aren't exactly, streaking, shall we say. Arkansas takes care of Pine Bluff 11-1. Alabama on Samford 14-5. That game played in Tuscaloosa. Number 1 A&M, a bit of a tussle with Houston. They hang on to win there 13-11. And I thought that game might be a little more of a challenge than most of their midweeks have been, but their midweek schedule has been pretty good. And I say that they didn't play a lot of marquee teams, but the teams that they played have been very solid mid-major teams that are playing pretty well, putting up some wins, helping that RPI. Georgia, 4-3 winners into 15th as they walk it off with a bases-loaded wild pitch. How tough does that have to be? Clemson, of course, one of the better teams in the country this year, ranked 5th in the country. But big win for Georgia, for sure. And by proxy, a big win for Mississippi State because we own 2 wins over Georgia, so we get a little bit of an RPI boost there. LSU 9-0 winners over Nicholls State last night. If memory serves me correct, there are no games scheduled for tonight. Last week we had a Wednesday game, but that's where things sit right now. And we've got some baseball we'll talk about. I guess before we get into the top 10 list, we'll go ahead and wrap up this segment, kind of looking ahead at the SEC schedule for those of you that maybe aren't aware of kind of where things are, what's going on, with the SEC. Sometimes we become so acutely aware of only what's happening with us that we forget about what could be happening elsewhere. So let's see if we can find this. It's so interesting, too. I don't understand. I'm not even on the SEC network side. I'm not going to talk about where I am. But I don't understand why sometimes things get so convoluted. I just want to see what the games will look like for tomorrow. So let's Google, again, SEC baseball schedule. It's frustrating. It is. It's like everything was cool, and then, hey, you know what? Everybody's enjoying this. You know what? Oh, Bob down there in the customer service department's been kind of quiet. Let's give him some job security. All right, let's take a look here. April 24th. We'll start with April 25th because we got some series that are going to begin on Thursday. As we're kind of thinking out loud here. Let's look here and see if this will work for us. It looks like it does. All right, so Alabama's at Ole Miss, and that's going to begin Thursday. And, listen, Ole Miss has played their Super Bowl, and they won it, unfortunately, at our expense. We're going to play Alabama next weekend. I still like Alabama to win this series. I do. I don't think Ole Miss will have that same level of intensity against Alabama. But, it's tough to win on the road in the SEC. Missouri is also at Tennessee. You got to like Tennessee at Lindsey Nelson, don't you? I mean, you have to. You have to. But so if you're looking for college baseball Thursday night, you got some SEC baseball you can watch. Now, Georgia is going to be at A&M. I like A&M there because Georgia's not the same team on the road. Now, Charlie Condon's going to get his, and Bluebell Park is I wouldn't say an offensive park. It's not Foley Field or Alex Box. But, you can poke one out of there for sure. Kentucky's at South Carolina. Huge series there. Huge. Really for both teams. Because if memory serves me correct, I think Kentucky could actually clinch a spot in Hoover this weekend, mathematically, if things fall just right. South Carolina does, and for some reason, the pollsters really love this South Carolina team. They have from the beginning. They've just kind of flirted around up there with the top 25 most of the year. And I'm not going to pick against Kentucky. I think Nick and those guys find a way to go in there and get it done. Of course, Mississippi State's at Vanderbilt. Auburn's at LSU. Florida's at Arkansas. Wouldn't it be great if Florida could find a way to go in there and get a game or two from Arkansas? I just don't see it. But Auburn's at LSU. Man, it's such a tough deal. Honestly, Auburn has a really brutal schedule. They really do. LSU maybe trying to find some things here. They take a series last weekend against Missouri, and you get Auburn coming in, the team that's last place in the Southeastern Conference. And so if you're LSU, you're thinking, okay, we're going to kind of string some things together here. And it's so interesting too. When you look at this, the standings right now, Auburn 2-16, the first team in the Southeastern Conference to clinch a losing record in league play, and then just above them is LSU. And so if Auburn could find a way to go sweep LSU, which they won't, they could pull even. But again, right now, if the SEC tournament started today, those two teams would be out. Just above them, just a game ahead, tied with Missouri, is Ole Miss with 6-12, and then Alabama 7-11. So that could be an interesting series. But again, we talk about this South Carolina team and this love affair that some people have with them. Guys, they're 27-13 overall, and 9-9 in the Southeastern Conference. Mississippi State's 27-14, 10-8 in the Southeastern Conference. South Carolina is ranked. Mississippi State is not. Mississippi State was the only team in the conference to sweep last weekend. And so it's interesting to me. Maybe it's just me, but I just feel like there's some people out there that, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that we should be ranked, but if South Carolina is ranked, we should be ranked. It's just the way I see it. And I admit being biased, but we got a better record. Got a better record overall. I mean, we've got one more loss than they do. The same number of wins, and then we're a game ahead of them in the SEC standings, and they're ranked and we're not after we come off a sweep. And again, as John Cohen told me back in 1989, the only poll that counts is the last one, and that's the one that we want to be number one in. Doesn't always work out that way. But, could be some shakeup in the standings. But, again, you look at teams like Florida that need a win, and you look at teams like LSU that need wins, it's going to be interesting. But, again, that Kentucky-South Carolina series, Kentucky's 15-3. I really want Nick to go in there and win that series. If we're not going to win it, I'd love for Nick to win the SEC championship because of the fact that, number one, he's such a great guy. He's been a great friend to me. And listen, I get that he is not everybody's cup of tea, but he maybe just be your shot of whiskey. But Arkansas, a lot of people said, hey, Arkansas is going to run away with this thing. And I really thought they were the best team in the league, but they have really struggled offensively. And, of course, we'll get a chance to see them here in a couple weeks. But, I think it's a big weekend, but for the middle of the pack. Again, like if State can find a way to get this series at Vanderbilt, we're going to preview that on Friday before I leave for Nashville. You find a way to get that series against Vanderbilt, man, a lot of things open up for you if you're Mississippi State. But at a bare minimum, you got to go in there and get one. All right, time for today's top 10 list. As always, brought to you by closewithblair.com. That's CLOSE with Blair, BLAIR.com. Blair Chandler is my friend, your friend, our mutual friend in the mortgage industry. Blair's been at this a long time. Nobody stays in any industry 20-plus years by accident. Blair's been doing this 23 years. Top 1% close ratio in the country back-to-back-to-back years. Give Blair a text or call today at 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. And let them know your needs. Maybe you're looking for a game day condo. Maybe you said, you know what, I'd love to do that someday. I just don't know if we can afford it. Blair can run the numbers and let you know. It's true. Maybe you're just starting out in life. Maybe you've got a transition in life. I don't know. Maybe your life has been changed for reasons beyond your control and you're having to find a new place to rest your head. Well, Blair can help you with that. Take some stress and anxiety out of life. Deal with a mortgage professional. Thus, closewithblair.com. Those game day condos are a hit too. And so if you've always considered that and just wondered, what would something like this cost us, then turn to Blair and get pre-qualified. That's a huge, huge deal. Go ahead and get pre-qualified so even before you start looking for a house, because you need to find something within your means. It's true. And that'll get your real estate agent that much more motivated when you got that pre-qualified letter in hand. You already got financing arranged. Oh, they're ready to get you to the closing table too. So they will work overtime for you. So many great real estate agents around the great state of Mississippi, including many of those that listen to this show. Maybe you should advertise. Yeah, how about that? But again, closeatblair.com. Okay. Now, we had some confusion. Some time ago, I asked Roy if we had done 10 years. And I thought certainly we had, because 10 years is one of my favorite bands. And I thought he told me we hadn't. So I put a list together today. I sent it to him. He goes, hey, we've done 10 years. And he goes back and looks. We did it in 2021. So no new material released from them since then. Love those guys. Have met them. Hung out with Jesse multiple opportunities. And so we had to call an audible. We have had a lot of reaction over the years to the band Hellstorm. Lizzie Hale, of course, I think is the best rock vocalist since Janis Joplin. I know. All right, Bulldog fans, let's go ahead and admit it. Mississippi State folks and Boots are awful fond of one another. Our friends at Tecovas are back to get you ready for this festival and concert season. You know it's going to be all about boots, and Tecovas is your stop for festival style. Tecovas has seasonal and limited edition offerings this spring, including men's and women's boots, apparel, hats, bags, and so much more. All Tecovas boots are made by hand in a time-honored tradition with timeless styles that are always on trend. And Tecovas has first wear comfort with little to no break-in period. It's hard to find that level of comfort paired with this level of style. Plus, their direct-to-consumer pricing keeps value on your feet and money in your pocket. Stop by your local Tecovas store, have a complimentary drink or two, and shop new styles. The smell of fresh leather and a friendly staff are always at your service. Many stores even have leather custom branding to make your boots truly personalized. And with regular live music and events coming up, there's no in-store experience quite like theirs. If you can't make it into a store, just visit Tecovas, that's TECOVAS.com. They offer free shipping on all boots, as well as free returns and exchanges, and ship right to your door. Go to Tecovas.com today and find your new favorite pair of boots. I know that's high praise, but that's how much I think of her. The original material is top shelf. She's a little bit risque at times without being, I don't know, slutty. But I dig it, man. I dig Hellstorm. I've seen them live multiple times. Dana and I have met Lizzie Hale. Absolutely love their music. Now, Lizzie Hale recently made headlines because she is going to be fronting Skid Row on the final shows of their current tour. They're wrapping up the Gang's All Here tour, and Eric, the singer, is a guy that's been in remission from cancer, has had to take some time off, and has actually left the band to deal with his health. And so we wish him the best. But it's interesting that Lizzie Hale, it's basically like generations of rock are colliding here. Now, Lizzie Hale obviously was raised correctly because they've covered a lot of great classic rock tunes. So today, we're going to do the top 10 Hellstorm cover songs that they've covered that you know. I'm not going to do some obscure thing just to be a hipster. But a lot of people wonder, can Lizzie Hale pull this off? Because Sebastian Bach and Johnny Solinger have big voices, especially Bach, and their classic tunes require a special vocalist. And Sebastian Bach, despite his failings at times, is an extremely talented individual. So you're asking a lot to ask somebody to go up there, hey, can you do the Sebastian Bach catalog? It's tough. So I'm going to give you some reasons why today. I'm going to give you some examples of exactly why Lizzie Hale can do this. And I think it's a great move for Skid Row because it's kind of introducing them to a younger generation of fans. And if you haven't heard The Gang's All Here, that album, it's great. It's great. But again, fourth vocalist to record with them. Tony Harnell from TNT was with them for a while too. And I love Tony with TNT. That TNT album, Tell No Tales, we've never done a top 10 TNT list, even though I could. But the TNT had a really great run. There was a great album called Knights of the New Thunder that's got an incredible love song. Like if you were a power ballad fan, Lost Without Your Love from Knights of the New Thunder is amazing. But the breakthrough album for them was really Tell No Tales, which is great. It's got 10,000 Lovers in One. Everyone's a Star. Those are all great. And then Intuition, the follow-up album, came out, and it really built upon that. And we really thought TNT was going somewhere. And then Tony Harnell eventually winds up, for a brief while, as the singer of Skid Row. I think he could have pulled it off. With that big voice he has, I think he could have been a Sebastian Bach thing. That said, Tony is from a different era. And so I think in order for the Skid Row fan base to grow, this move with Lzzy Hale is great. And Lzzy has kind of teased this might not be a short run. It might not just be a few dates. They may actually do some work together, which would be absolutely phenomenal, in the words of Ben Howland. So here we go. Hellstorm released 3 EPs of just cover songs. So 18 tracks, 6 songs per EP, called Reanimation, volumes 1, 2, and 3. So here are my top 10 songs from those 3 cover song EPs. Number 10, we're going to start with a pop song, and it's because of the fact, number one, I thought the Lady Gaga version was really good. I think this one's even better. Now, you Lady Gaga fans may disapprove, and that's okay. I think Lady Gaga is extremely talented. She's a little bit precocious, but extremely talented, and most big stars are. But Hellstorm did a great rendition of Bad Romance. And I think with the edgy guitar, it comes off a little bit better. Number 9, and you think, well, Steve, we're going to go from pop to thrash? We absolutely are. You may not know this, but Hellstorm covered Ride the Lightning from Metallica. That's your number 9 track today. Their version of the Metallica classic Ride the Lightning. Again, A.J. Hale, the drummer in the band, Lizzy's brother, you can tell their parents must have been pretty cool because they were exposed to some great music. Number 8, we're going to go back to the pop charts a little bit. I remember this song. I absolutely loved it. It's a Sophie B. Hawkins classic, Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover. And I remember it was so funny when the song first came out, people thought it was Down with Showers of Love. And if you listen to it, I can kind of hear that. But they do a great version of it. It's different than the original. I prefer the original, but I do like the one with the rougher edge here. So your number 8 song is Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover. Number 7, and this just fits like a glove, baby. There's never been a better band to cover Joan Jett's classic I Hate Myself for Loving You, written by Desmond Child, than Hellstorm. Joan Jett got some grit, got some toughness about her. Love Joan Jett. And this is perfect, man. This is like the perfect arrangement. So Hellstorm's version of I Hate Myself for Loving You is number 7. Number 6, going back a couple generations here. I love this version. I love the Beatles' original version of this. And you said, yes, Beatles, yes. But I love the way the instrumentation, the last minute of this song, it's just incredible. It's I Want You. She's So Heavy. Lizzy's vocals on this absolutely send chills up my spine at times. It's incredible. I've always loved this song. I love their version of it too. I will stop short of saying it's better than the original. That's almost sacrilegious. But they do a great, great, great rendition. So if you're a Beatles fan, maybe check that one out. I Want You, She's So Heavy. Number 6. Number 5. I had a couple of choices to go here. I don't like a lot of Chris Cornell covers. I really don't. And it's nothing against the artist that's doing the covering. I just think there's some songs and some musicians you kind of leave alone. But it's really kind of paying tribute to Chris. And it's from the Super Unknown album. It's a song that was not originally planned to be a single when they released Super Unknown. The debut single from Super Unknown was Spoon Man, which was fun. Didn't make a lot of sense, but it was fun. And the fans all loved this track. And ultimately it became a single because of fan interest. People would go to shows and ask to hear it. Should it be on the set list? And people calling the radio stations asking to play it. And so, again, the record company wanted to go in different directions, but the fans demanded that Fell on Black Days be a single. And if you watch the video, that's played live. That's not the album version. If you go to YouTube and pull up Fell on Black Days, that's the band playing that song live. Amazing. And Lizzy does a good job here. They also did a version of Hunger Strike. I just couldn't bring myself to put both of those on there. But Fell on Black Days, number 5. Now, these next four are really going to rock. And again, I think these legitimize Lzzy Hale as a hard rock and heavy metal vocalist. Number 4, I know that Brooks Auger's family will agree here. It's Shoot to Thrill. Shoot to Thrill from AC/DC, which I would venture to say maybe my favorite AC/DC song, Shoot to Thrill. I love it, man. Even when I'm in a press box on press row, when Brooks comes in the game, I can't help but kind of move around a little bit. There's just some songs out there that elicit some emotion from you and some energy, and this is one of them for me. And her vocal on this is absolutely amazing. Everything she does is great, but to hear her sing one of these rock classics and it still be kind of true to the original, it's great. Like, they didn't change the arrangement a lot. They just went out there and just plugged in and played a killer track. So Shoot to Thrill, number 4. All right, number 3, another song that we have heard significantly over the years at Duty Noble Field is the Whitesnake Classic. That Landon Sims came rolling out of the bullpen too, and the song was suggested to him by Spencer Price, who's also a drummer. I love Spencer Price. I do. He's done some favors for me recently. Love that guy. But it's still The Night from Whitesnake, number 3. It's great. And again, Lzzy kind of the shining moment on this cover. Number 2, a big surprise in many respects. When they covered this song, you're like, whoa. Because I loved it when it was on Appetite for Destruction, and it's a deeper cut. Now, everything on Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses could have been a single. Every single song. They could have released it. It had been huge. Because you know, Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child of Mine and Paradise City. But those of us who lived it, there's one song in particular, and I don't mean Night Train or Mr. Brownstone. There's one song that made us kind of grit our teeth a little bit and say, you know what? Yeah, come get me. It's Out to Get Me from Guns N' Roses. That's your number 2 track today. And there's a line in there at the end, and you're probably wondering, but yes, she does sing that line. Their version of this, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. But number 1, the number 1 song that suggests to me that Lzzy Hale can pull this off and do it at a high level is Slave to the Grind, because they've actually covered it. And there is video out there of Dave the Snake Sabo and Rachel Bolan joining Hellstorm on stage to play Slave to the Grind. Her vocal on this is absolutely blood-curdling. I mean, the fact that she can get so high and have such grit in her voice, that's what sets her apart from so many of her female contemporaries in rock, is because she's truly a rocker. Now, we have some amazing female vocalists in rock music these days, but to me, Lzzy Hale sets the standard, because she's not just this attractive girl up there to try to get guys to buy tickets and come to a show. That's not at all. She is the real deal. I absolutely love Lzzy Hale, and it was so great we met her. I'd seen them play a few times, and we're in Rocklahoma. Thanks, Mark. And we're getting ready to go, and we just hung around. We weren't going to stay for the final couple of acts because we needed to get back. It's 9 hours from here to Tulsa, but we wanted to hang around and see Hellstorm one more time. And it's brutal hot. Lzzy comes off stage. She's absolutely blistered from the sun, and her personal assistant was there, and I said, "Hey, Lzzy, do you mind if we get a picture?" And her assistant's like, no, she's just coming off stage. Let's let her go get showered. And I don't know the look that Dana gave her. I don't know. But Lzzy looked at Dana and she goes, hey, let's go ahead and do it. And she was so incredibly nice. And so we take the picture, and you can see the sweat on her face. And but I thought to myself, just after going out there and exerting all this emotional and physical energy on stage in front of tens of thousands of people, and to take just a few moments to talk to a couple of fans that were trying to get out of there, it meant a lot. It really did. And I was already a huge fan of hers because of her obvious talent. But then after meeting her and having a chance to interact with her as a person, it made me a bigger fan. And I'm sharing that with you now because you always hear the expression, don't meet your heroes. I've rarely had a bad experience meeting anybody in rock music. Rarely. I've had some negative experiences in sports, which is kind of weird. But in music, it's been much different. And I think it's because there's some artistry with all of that. Everybody kind of understands that aspect of it. But when you meet somebody like Lizzie Hale, who really owes me nothing, and says, you know what, hey, thank you guys for coming. And I had a chance to tell her, of course, we had all of her albums, and, I'd been to see them multiple times. And she was so genuine. And so I like to cheer for people who are good people. We talk all the time about, people may not remember what you say, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. I don't remember everything Lizzie Hale said, but I remember how she made me feel, and that was she made me feel important to her. Again, under those circumstances. It'd be one thing, because I meet a bunch of people backstage at these shows. It'd be one thing if somebody's just walking along and just kind of taking the show and you sit there, shoot the breeze. But she needed to go get a shower. She needed to get cleaned up, get some water, get some refreshment. And maybe I was asking a bit much, to be honest with you. But we were ready to go. I just thought, I can't hurt to ask. And she was absolutely amazing. And that's one of the reasons I love her music even more, and I share it with you guys on the show, because not only are you supporting great music, I believe you're supporting a great person. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. I love Campus Bookmart, and chances are you do too. If you don't, it's because you haven't experienced Campus Bookmart. Great selection, great service. Been serving a great fan base for many, many years. I'm a guy that believes in eating, shopping, everything local. Everything local. Promote small business every chance we get. Be sure next time you're in town to go to Campus Bookmart and check them out. If you're looking to outfit your home, your family, your fan cave, your automobile, your pet, your children, I don't know. You know your needs better than I do. But chances are Campus Bookmart has just the right thing, whether it be a graduation gift. I've been pushing those diploma frames here as of late. You need to act soon. Graduation's coming soon. Grandparents, that's a great gift for your grandchild. It's graduating from Mississippi State. Maybe you haven't considered that. But that's a gift that'll last a lifetime. That'll be on their wall from now on, that diploma frame that you buy them, an official Mississippi State diploma frame. You can find those at Campus Bookmart, a wide assortment of them to choose from. But if you can't make it to town, visit them on the World Wide Web at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. That's BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. All right, there has been some movement in the transfer portal on the basketball. On basketball too. We'll get to football first. A lot has happened. Now, the portal closes on the 30th. A lot of people have asked that question. When does this thing end? Well, the 30th. Now, they don't have to decide by then, but they have to declare by then. They have to declare that they're going to be transferring and leaving their respective programs by April 30th. So, we've seen some extensive traffic. A couple of prospects that are transferring in have already announced. Rashad Amos, though he is expected to visit Colorado this weekend, he is still committed to Mississippi State. I think it's an insurance policy. That's what I think. We'll see how things go. And Diego Brumfield, of course, committed over the weekend, a transfer from Memphis, expected to play cornerback for Mississippi State. Still think we'll take a cover guy. I'm told that Brumfield could actually play nickel as well. Now, here, who's all transferred out from Mississippi State? Mostly younger guys, and mostly guys that you have not seen play much at all. But Caleb Bryant, defensive lineman from Vicksburg, he was the guy that we were on. Of course, he is the half-brother of former Mississippi State defensive lineman Fabian Lovett. So things didn't work out. We tried. And he was the guy that announced before spring practice was over it was his intention to go in. He did leave the team, did not continue his practice sessions at Mississippi State. So he is in the portal. Luke Evans, a redshirt freshman cornerback. He was the guy too. Another Darcel McBath guy. That is elected to go get in the portal, and really liked him a lot too. Thought he was a really good get for us. Trent Singleton, a guy from Raymond, man, I absolutely love Trent. Disappointed things haven't worked out better for him. He's in the portal, a great young man too. We really thought he was going to be a guy to come in here and be able to make some plays. And redshirted his first year and did not record any stats last year. Punter Keelan Crimmins is in the portal. That should not be a surprise. We did not have a good punting game last year. On occasion, we would get one. We discussed that extensively on the show. our punting game was not anywhere close to where it needed to be, and so we go out and get a kid. When Cliff Odom comes in, he brings somebody with him. So Crimmins is in the portal, our Australian punter, but it just never came together. Wide receiver Justin Robinson, this probably surprised a few people, but I think really in many respects, I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can, I think the vertical nature of the new offense doesn't lend itself to his skill set. I don't know that he has the foot speed that some of these other guys do. He is a big physical wide receiver, and at times motivation has been an issue with him. He is elected to transfer. This will be his second transfer. Came to State from Georgia. He's a great guy, and at times has made some good plays for Mississippi State. But again, I think he's kind of a product of the scheme change. Khalid Moore, another guy, a linebacker, I expected him to do better at Mississippi State. I really did. And I felt that was a good linebacker class for us. Not much of it's remaining. Khalid Moore, of course, a guy down from South Mississippi at Poplarville, really thought he would come in. State beats Ole Miss to get him, and it just kind of never comes together. Did play last year in 5 games as a reserve, mainly as a special teams player. But in 3 years, he did not record a tackle and just simply couldn't get on the field. Mike Wright, former Vanderbilt quarterback, also transferring out. This should be a surprise to nobody. I saw some people on Facebook kind of freaking out about this. And guys, I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. Mike struggled at quarterback at Vanderbilt. Now, he made some plays. He's quite athletic. He needs to be in kind of a running offense, needs to be in a offense that utilizes the dual threat. The problem is you saw even in the win over Arkansas, Mike's a guy that struggles to deliver the football. They got that big touchdown early on a pick 6. We had some chances late, and Mike made some plays for us. We ultimately win the ball game, but Mike certainly was not going to be a fit in this scheme. We signed him basically as a little bit of a gadget guy. He had his own packages, but I thought Kevin Barbay was very transparent with the play calling. And just about every time Mike goes in the ball game, you're going to run, so everybody brings a run blitz, and then half the time they bottled us up behind the line of scrimmage. Just didn't work out for us. But we wish Mike the best. He is a great young man, absolutely great young man. It's just not a fit for him. This is a good move for both sides. This is where the portal is a good thing, right? Because of the fact Mike Wright gets a chance to go spend his final year of eligibility in a program where he has a chance to truly compete. If Mike stays here, he's just going to ride the bench, because there's just not a package for him in this scheme. And so, again, we appreciate Mike's contributions to Mississippi State. Wish him well in the future. Zay Alexander, offensive lineman at Tupelo, a guy that I thought would be better, but I found out pretty early on in the spring that things just were not clicking. And, again, he was recruited to be an offensive lineman in the air raid. This new system requires guys to be a little more dynamic. But for one reason or another, he just hasn't picked it up, and he's leaving. Again, another quality young man. Got 4 years of eligibility left. Wish him the best, and somebody will pick him up, because when you've got that kind of size, people are intrigued. Another guy that I knew was a developmental guy, Jaden Hobson, and his high school film is ridiculous. He is really, really good. But another guy, just with the new staff, it just hasn't worked out. And it's not anybody's fault, but Jaden Hobson now leaving the program. You remember we flipped him from Southern Miss, and as somebody pointed out on the message board, it's amazing how when we flip those guys from Southern Miss, how rarely they pan out. And this appears to be the case. But again, another guy with 4 years of eligibility. I do know that he has already had some Power 5 interest. I'm not exactly sure about offers collected yet. This all just broke yesterday with him. And then earlier today, Avery Sledge, a linebacker, part of that same class with Khalid Moore, a guy from FCAHS, a guy that played quarterback in high school, but also some linebacker. And they talked about him, some playing some at safety. He actually scored a touchdown for State on a block punt, but hasn't done a whole lot. But he was a guy, too, that comes from a great family down there. We wish him the best. But the bottom line is this, is Mississippi State's Jeff Lebby has got to find a roster to win football games. And sometimes that means people get lost in the shuffle, and that's clearly the case here. And so, again, we do expect State to take another corner. You'd like to find an edge, but I'm hearing that the pickings have been rather slim in the transfer portal for edges, and everybody wants one of those, so there's a lot of demand for those. But there hadn't been a lot of guys out there that are good enough to play here, and that's the thing, too. You don't want to see a guy leave that's going to struggle to play here just to replace him with a guy that's similarly situated. You got to have somebody come in here and be a difference maker, and not just a guy to come in here and eat up a roster spot. We don't just need another seat at the training table for another guy that's not going to contribute. That's a significant part of it. Now, of course, we're still in the running back market. Martinez, of course, took an official visit last weekend. He's going to visit Miami. I mistakenly reported that he still had to visit Arizona, but he has visited Arizona. And I continue to hear it's a State Miami thing. I don't count Arizona completely out. But Miami was a team to beat going into these visits, and I believe Mississippi State has made it interesting. And Martinez told a mutual acquaintance that I think I could come in here and be the guy. After watching practice, he thinks maybe perhaps I can come in here and be the guy. And we don't have anybody with his level of explosiveness. Now, what does that mean for Rashad Amos? Amos was told, we're looking to upgrade the room and may take 2. And so he's still shopping, so we're still shopping. And I still think even if Amos is like, hey, I'm good to go, you still take Martinez. No question about that. You take them both to make your football team better. I also would not rule out a backup quarterback in the portal. Now, that may come as a surprise to some of you. But when you begin to look at this, Blake Shapen is going to be the starter, right? And, of course, that'll be fleshed out in fall scrimmages. Jeff Lebby has not officially announced him to be the starter. We certainly expect that to be the case. Chris Parson, a very, very talented young guy, learning a new scheme. He's only had 15 practices in it. And expecting him to do some big things. Michael Van Buren, of course, a very highly accomplished high school quarterback. However, you got to think, what happens if Shapen gets injured? Well, then, the depth behind him is a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. And so you're not going to go out and find a starter, but maybe you can find a serviceable backup that just kind of gives you some room there, right? To give you a little bit of an insurance policy. I think Chris is a guy that's capable of doing some great things for us, but it's smart to have kind of a buffer between Shapen and those younger quarterbacks. And so I wouldn't rule that out. Don't have any names to share with you right now, but don't be shocked if next month you find out it's taking another quarterback. And don't think that is an indictment on Chris Parson or Michael Van Buren. It just makes good sense of roster management to have somebody with a little more experience, a little more age with the game, and maybe somebody that's already played in a similar scheme, if not the same scheme. To come to Mississippi State. And when Blake Shapen committed, that's one thing that I was told is, hey, we're still looking. But I think it's pretty safe to say if you saw the spring game that Blake Shapen looks to be the guy. But what do you do if he gets injured? That's the real question. You have to consider those possibilities. And again, that's not an indictment on Chris Parson. But Chris, again, comes in, learns the nuances of the air raid. And, guys, we started him on the road at A&M last year. And Chris's athleticism is absolutely ridiculous. But he's learning new terminology. He's learning new concepts. And so it just makes sense to have somebody with maybe a little more experience to come in and serve as a backup while Chris learns. So that's important to understand, too. Don't rule that out by any stretch of the imagination. Now, what's also interesting, too, is when you begin to think about some of these players that are leaving. And it's interesting. There's so many of the people that I see that react negatively and kind of flex on Facebook. Like, many of you didn't even know who Jaden Hobson was. I mean, you saw his name when he committed and maybe when on signing day, but you haven't seen his name in 2 years. And then we say, are we going to be able to have a football team this year? Well, we had one last year and he didn't play. And so I say that not to be critical of Jaden Hobson, but can we take a breath? I explained to everybody before the portal season opened, we're going to have several people leave after spring practice. Well, here we are. Spring game happened Saturday. And so, you've got a flood of guys going in because they want to play. And they have found out chances are they're not going to play here. And so they're going somewhere else. It's not anything personal. It's not anybody that's down on Jeff Lebby or Mississippi State. It's just the nature of the college athletics. And let's be honest about this. This is not the Boy Scouts. We don't want somebody just to come in here and hang out and not contribute. That makes everybody miserable. You need somebody out there that's going to be able to play. And if those guys recognize they're not going to play here, they're smart to leave. And don't think there's not always a little bit encouraging with that aspect of it too. It's like, hey, listen, here's where you stand on the depth chart. Okay, after spring practice, you know how many reps you got. You saw the guys in front of you, and you're running third or fourth or maybe even fifth at your position. Now, you're welcome to stay. However, if you want to get in the portal, we support that. We'll make some calls on your behalf. And so guys begin to think, okay, here's the reality of my situation. I can stay here for another year, and maybe next year I can crack too deep, maybe. Or I'm facing another year this year of not seeing the field. I sat here last year, I put in my time, did my best, hoping to get on the field some this year, even just a reserve role, but now it appears that that's not going to happen. So do I want to waste another year of eligibility here with the prospects of me playing a remote? Answer to that question for most kids is not. And it's not anybody's fault. But in the era of the transfer portal, we're going to deal with this at the end of every semester. You just might as well get ready for it. And again, there's no need to rush to Facebook with your post to draw attention to yourself. It's not required. We're going to play football with or without that post. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Be sure and Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse. And when you do, their Facebook page will come up. You can peruse the pictures of all the great amenities that are available to you when you lease that place. And I tell you this, there's going to be so many great things you're going to see there and think, you know what, this would be perfect for our guys' weekend, our girls' weekend, our couples' weekend, our family weekend, a ball game weekend, or perhaps you're bringing a work crew to Starkville. Maybe you're having a special event. Maybe it's a bachelor party, bachelorette party. Maybe it's a college reunion. Maybe it's a Friendsgiving. I don't know. But I know this, there's no better place to stay and have everybody under one roof than a Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Now, you can go out and lease a bunch of hotel rooms, and it won't nearly be as comfortable. And so I'm just telling you, the better way to go is to rent this place, the renovated clubhouse of the old country club, and everybody can have their own quarters, but you've got some communal areas where everybody can get together and watch TV, and you can break bread, full-service kitchen there, the wet bar, that great big, huge back porch, the fire pit. You're just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. What could be better than that? Nothing. I'll just tell you now, nothing available in Starkville is better than the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. When you're bringing a large group to town, think about a Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Now, when you Google, you're going to get some booking options. You're going to get an Airbnb option. You're going to get VRBO. But you're also going to get the Evolve website. If you use that website, Evolve, I can save you 10% off your stay. Promo code BSR10. How about that? BSR10. Just by booking through the Evolve website. Now, you could pay more, but why would you want to? You know, maybe you have it better than me. I don't know. Anytime I get a promo code, I use it. So be sure and check that out. Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Google today, stay tomorrow. If somebody tries to message me on Facebook. All right, so let's talk basketball here for a second. We'll start on the men's side, and Justin Farmer has kind of had a perpetual article here, just kind of keeping up a running list of kind of where things stand. So here's who's right now. Here is where we are as far as returning players. Adrian Myers, be a sophomore this year, did not play significant minutes last year. Of course, Josh Hubbard. Delquan Warren was a 4-star guard 2 years ago, and hopefully he'll make a contribution this year. Kanye Clary, another guy that came from the portal last year, coming in now. So we expect him to be a big-time guy for us. And then Claudio Harris recently announced his decision to come to State from Boston College. So Clary and Harris, new additions there. And then on the forward side, that's just your guards. Guy Chol, interested to see what happens there. Eric Payman was the number 1 recruit in Mississippi. Hadn't signed yet. Cam Matthews, of course, coming back. Michael Nwoko, a transfer from Miami. Didn't do a whole lot last year, but a big 6'10 guy. We certainly need some length there. Keyshawn Murphy, of course, withdrew his name from the portal. Outgoing names, Jimmy Bell Jr., of course, is done with football, but now done with basketball. Now he's giving football a try. How cool would that be? DJ Jeffries, of course, has exhausted his eligibility. Jaquan Scott is elected to transfer out. Tolu, of course, no eligibility left. I wish him the best. Deshaun Davis, similar situation. Trey Ford elected to enter the transfer portal. You know, he started the season really hot for us. We're like, here we go, here we go. Shaquille Moore also elected to leave, and he's technically a guard, but it's one of those situations too. Am I going to be the third guard in a 3-guard rotation? I don't know. So we're still chasing some guys. Amari Williams, of course, from Drexel is a guy that is a significant name to watch. But here's the thing, and we've discussed this many times. I have a tremendous amount of faith in Chris Jans. Tremendous amount of faith. And I've mentioned before, because of the junior college background, he understands how to pull a roster together very quickly from year to year, because you're never building anything in junior college. And so I think his previous experience on the junior college front matters. I think that matters. Now, what's interesting, too, is we switch over to the women's side. A lot of discussion about Haley Van Leith going to TCU. Now it appears that those reports were premature. How about that? So State's still in the mix there. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens here. And, again, a lot of news here as of late about that. Kind of where do things stand, where do things go. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. But there's obviously a spot for her should she elect to take it. And now there's a report as of yesterday where she tells the Associated Press that she did not go and commit to TCU. So she's interested in them, but has not committed. It's always interesting. People jump ahead here. And let's be fair about this. Many of us just kind of went with it. We just like, oh, well, hey, maybe they know something that we don't. We hadn't been able to get anything concrete on it, and she's kind of kept her cards close to the vest. And so, we'll see what happens. But on the women's side too, you've had some additions. I think that's important to understand too. We think about all this outgoing traffic, and that's what happens first, right? That's what happens first. Is you have a lot of people that leave and then make decisions. And that's the way the calendar works. And so all of a sudden when we get the whole thing where it's like, oh, well, the portal's open and we've had half a dozen players hit the portal. And that's true. It's true. But you got to ask yourself too, well, that's just the nature of things. People announce their departure before they announce their destination. And so you get all that stuff done, and then you begin to add. Of course, how about Victoria Vivian's coming back, joining the staff? I think that's very significant. I think it's something that everybody should be excited about. But State also has landed Enya Russell. That's pretty good, right, out of Kentucky. That's nice. Good player. And we need somebody inside. We do. I think the rest of that story, too, is you start looking about, some other women's commitments here, and you start thinking about, hey, what's next? Well, you got Chandler Prater coming to you from Oklahoma State. That's a big get, too. And so it's so interesting, too, that we kind of lament the losses because it's kind of the devil we know, right? And we don't think about the new ones coming in. JUCO guard Destiny McFall is one that I wrote up the other day. Justin's was on sabbatical, I guess you could say. He's back seeing some family. But Destiny McFall is one of the best junior college scorers in the country. And so you've added those pieces. And so I just share that because, again, I'm still a Sam Purcell fan, and I hope that you guys are too. But let's not judge any coach too harshly because of portal losses, especially when you get. Let's be honest, we weren't as good as we should have been last year. We had some players that couldn't play defense. It's true, we didn't want to admit it. We had some players that weren't athletic enough to deal with SEC guards, and so they're gone. And there's some others that weren't going to be able to help us on the scoring end. And listen, when you hate it, I hate Miracle Shepard's gone. I do. I think she was going to be a good player for us. But you got some other players too that they couldn't stay in front of a driving guard. They couldn't. It's not that they wouldn't. They just didn't have the physical skill to do it. And so you got to upgrade the roster. We had a team last year. We all love them because they wear our uniform. But the reality of it is sometimes you've got to have a critical eye here and say, you know what? I got to be honest about this. We weren't as good defensively as we should have been. And some of that was talent. So now you go out and upgrade the talent. And listen, Sam Purcell is going to be judged by wins and losses. Listen, I get it. It's fun to bring your kids up here and have them make a picture with with the players and things. I get it. I understand every bit of that. But at the end of the day, it's about winning and losing. Nobody stays because they're a good person. Those days ended for Mississippi State years ago. It's a new day and time. I like what we've done, but we really need Van Leith. We really do. And I'm not going to sit here and say I expect her, but man, if we could get her, I'd feel a whole lot better about things moving forward. That's how I see it. Listen, and I want to tell you guys too, we are at, we got the little True Resting here, and I want to share a couple things with you. Many of you have absolutely stressed your mom out over the years, and maybe you stressed dad out too. Maybe your spouse has stressed you out, or you have stressed them out. We got a special that we're going to run here, and it's going to run beginning on April 22nd. It's going to run through May 12th. And so if you want to buy a gift card for maybe yourself or mom, or about 2 gift cards for mom, you get 2 for $89. If you're a member of True Rest, you get them for $79. So you save a little money there by being a member. And but here's the deal. I'm going to go float today. I feel so much better after I float. And it's so interesting. I've had people say, but Steve, I can float in my pool or my bathtub. No, not like this. You're still competing with gravity. You're floating on 1,200 pounds of magnesium-infused Epsom salt. You're floating on top of the water. You're not having to deal with gravity. It's a much different deal. The water's pristine. It's filtered out in between every float. It filters out all night. If you got questions, you can call 662-268-7601. And chances are my wife's going to answer the phone. She's a registered nurse. She can answer all your questions. But if you're looking for a great gift for Mother's Day or Father's Day, we can help you out with that. And again, 2 floats. They're ordinarily $89 a piece, but you get 2 for 1 during this promotion. 2 for 1. That's cool, right? But it doesn't matter if you have anxiety or stress or chronic pain, or you're just a person who's, hey, I just need my mind to be quiet for a while. I just need some time to myself. We can help you with that. True Rest of Starkville. Things are going great. We'd love for you to come be a part of it. Add new members every day. Every single day. We're adding new members. And most of our users are not just members. They're raving fans. And I think you would be too. And so if you're dad and you're thinking, hey, I need to get the wife, the mother of my children, a Mother's Day gift on behalf of the children, or on behalf of myself, she's not your mother, but she's the mother of your kids. So you need to ship something in, right? That's a good idea for you. And with Father's Day coming up, that's a part of it too, right? Be thinking about those things. That's what we're here for. But listen, I want to thank you guys so much for all your support. And I don't say it enough. I mean, I think I do articulate things pretty well for the most part. But guys, I was in Memphis yesterday. And every time I had to walk out to the car or walk out to go get something, I had many of you that stopped me, and many of you just said hello as you passed. But, I don't get up there very often, of course, because we don't play up there that often. And when we do, it's a busy day. Baseball is a little different. But I had so many people that came up and said hello. And I can tell you, it didn't cost you anything, but it means everything to me. It really does. When you say, you know what, Steve, I love the Boneyard. I love Gene's page. Love all your books. And had multiple people come yesterday and say, I can't wait for the new book. I have all of your books. And it's weird that that people can say they have all of my books, because that means that books means there's more than one, right? Well, there's actually been 6. So we're working on number 7. And, of course, you can get caught up and complete your collection at whenthebottomfalls.com. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you guys have done by listening to the show or subscribing to the website. And, listen, I don't know what everybody else does, but I know this. I know that I have the job and life that I have because of all of you. Now, I work hard at this. But it doesn't matter how hard you work if the farm isn't producing crops, right? And so if you guys weren't here to listen, to read, to buy books, I'd be doing something different. I'd have to cut my hair and get a real job, right? And I work harder today than I've ever worked in my life. As I've shared with you guys before, I think it's important to never arrive. And I've worked with some people in the past. It's like once they reached a comfortable standard of living, they quit pushing. I want to be as good as I can be. And every time that you guys come up and say, hey, Steve, thanks for this, thanks for that, enjoy this, it's just fuel for the journey, man. It really, really is. And a lot of times these conversations are kind of rushed. We're at ball games. You're trying to get to your seat. I'm trying to get back to press row. And maybe I'm not as jovial and maybe don't have the time to properly articulate what you guys mean to me, but you do. You matter to me. You absolutely do. You're not just numbers on a report. I get these download reports all the time, and it always amazes me. That many people are listening to the show, And so thank you to each and every one of you. And I appreciate it when you share the show, or you share an article, you retweet our content, or You comment on stuff. And listen, we're not always going to agree. It doesn't mean that we can't all be friends, right? And I've got a responsibility to you guys to be your eyes and ears and report accurate information. And I make some mistakes from time to time. I do. And nobody's harder on me about that than me, I can tell you. And then the guys that I work with, they'll tell you that too. If we miss something, I basically just want to perform an autopsy and find out how that happened. But sometimes that's just how life works. Sometimes we're first to the punch and sometimes we're not. But I know this. I know that we care about you and we care about Mississippi State. And we want to make sure that you guys are getting the most up-to-date and accurate information as you possibly can. And, listen, I've had to make some decisions over the years. They hadn't always been popular, but they've always been what I felt is right for our business. And I got to make some more decisions, in the years ahead. And I'm going to do what I think is best for us and for our coverage of Mississippi State. And other people can go out there and give whatever version of events they want to. It doesn't make any difference to me. But I'm not looking for another gig. I'm not just passing through Starkville. I'm here until the end, barring something totally unforeseen. This is where I want to be. I want to cover Mississippi State, and I want to do it without all this drama. I don't want to care about any of this other stuff. I just want to give great information about the Mississippi State present, Mississippi State future, and the Mississippi State past. And I thank you guys for enabling me to do that. I think we've got a pretty good partnership going here, so let's just kind of keep it together. Again, you can visit whenthebottomfalls.com, get caught up on the books. And again, come see us at True Rest. I don't just say that, and I think it's important to understand this too. I'm not just speaking to you as a business owner. I'm speaking to you as a fellow floater. When I went and floated for the very first time, it was a game changer for me. It did so much for my anxiety. And I tell people all the time, I think now when I get negative stimuli, my response is appropriate because I'm so much more chill these days. And so if you're high-strung like me, I'm telling you, it'll work. And the very first time I floated, I was like, I want my friends and neighbors to be able to experience this. And it was a chance for us to get Dana out of travel nursing. And I was like, I spent my whole life making everybody else rich. And, of course, now I own Gene's Page, and we own this business too. And I just wanted to do something of value that added some quality to people's lives. Dana's a person that's a health and wellness person. That's why she went into nursing. And so we opened this business for us and for you because we want you to have more quality of life. And one of the coolest things I can share with you is I remember our first day, you take your shoes off and there's like a shoe rack, and our shoe rack was full. And I sent a picture to our president with the company. And rather than her say, man, look at how busy you guys are, or look at this, or look how much money you're making, she says, look how many people you're helping. That's exactly why we got in this business in the first place, is to help people. I mean, I could have opened up a Ward's franchise in town and probably done exceptionally well. But the reality of it is we wanted to do something to bring some more value to Starkville, Mississippi. We wanted to improve the quality of life of people around Starkville, Mississippi. And so come see us. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.